Joining us now, Congressman, Republican 10th District, fighting for a third term, Barbara Comstock. She is running against State Senator and Democrat Jennifer Wexton. This election will be decided on November 6th. Now, the Democrats think they have this in the bag. Everybody is predicting a Wexton victory, except me. I'm predicting a Barbara Comstock victory. And I'm going to start by this, and we're going to bring her in. But I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, right? 2 weeks ago, I covered the Loudoun County debate between Jennifer Wexton and Barbara Comstock, and we ran that live on the radio. And I have to tell you, that was the biggest debate crushing I've ever seen in my life. Barbara was at the top of her game. All Barbara did was rattle off solution after solution after solution, success after success after success, plan after plan after plan, and Wexton had nothing. I mean, I was embarrassed for her. Actually, I was embarrassed for Jennifer. It was so bad. It was like she was annihilated. And I know there was a lot of talk after that debate, like who prepared her and what her deal was, but, you know, it is what it is. So, okay, joining us now, we declared her the huge debate victor, Barbara Comstock. Hey, Barbara, good to have you with us.
Great to be with you, John. Good morning.
What was the deal in that debate? I mean, I really expected Jennifer to do better than that. I was embarrassed for her.
Well, listen, we focused on results versus resistance, as you saw, and we detailed the results that I've personally gotten, that I've worked on as part of a team to promote our prosperity, you know, the tax cuts and the economic growth we have, 4.2% economic growth, a booming economy that is, you know, making a lot more things possible. We just passed a budget that had record funding for things like Alzheimer's research, NIH cancer research, support for our veterans, the largest military pay raise. So, I mean, these are good things that she can't say anything about. Of course, these are all things that she's resisted. The agenda that I'm getting attacked on, the ad that they have up right now attacking me, is an 82% bipartisan agenda. It included things like, you know, record funding for opioid addiction treatment and education and abuse. And so all she's doing is resisting. And when you actually look at her legislative record, it is thin gruel. She doesn't have any job accomplishments, nothing on her website about anything she's done on jobs or will do on jobs, because she does not a focus. And so when she was there with the chamber, this is never something she's focused on. You know, the job, she is a resistance, left-wing, number one liberal candidate who's opposed things as reasonable as restitution for victims of domestic and sexual abuse. She opposed that just this year. She opposed a bill. One of the first things she opposed when she was elected in the state Senate was a bill I had to help victims of domestic abuse, a bill that Scott Surville told me was a great bill, and he voted for. So this is how far out of touch she is, and she doesn't have a record. I mean, a bunch of her bills, she cites her bills. She always says, I have a bunch of bills I've passed. It's for things like moving the borders of Herndon and all of these little, you know, changing papers that you file in court. You know, there's nothing major that she's passed. She's a follower, not a leader. The things she has not been able to get 21 votes in the Senate, because that's how many you need to get to pass a major bill. And this is somebody who cannot go out, work across the aisle to get anything major with 21 people. Now, you need 218. And I've done that. And I've gotten my bills on things like my $2,000 child tax credit, got it into the tax bill, got my colleagues to support that. My Project Safe Neighborhoods bill, which is providing more funding for crime and to fight gun crime, drug crime, and MS-13 gang crime. She opposed that. That's in the scorecard. So she just doesn't have a record to run on, so it's all resistance, it's all negative. And it's going to fail because the people of this district want someone focused on their priority and getting results on prosperity, public safety, and national security, not a resistor who's just out fighting saying no to everything.
Well, look, I think that was obvious in the debate, and it's fine to go to your partisan crowds and resist and say Trump sucks and all that and get them riled up. But then when you go on a debate stage, you have to be able to articulate a vision and a set of policies beyond we just want to resist the other guy. And I think that's where she fell down in this debate, is she really didn't have anything. And then her closing statements, she attacked your record on women, which I thought was laughable, to be honest. So I didn't think she did very well.
Yeah, and actually, Don, this is somebody, Jennifer Wexton has been campaigning with former Representative Jim Moran. Now, this is a man who had not one, but two wives call the police on him for abusive behavior, known for violence. And this is somebody she hypocritically campaigns with. She has not called out a single Democrat, not Bill Clinton, not John Conyers, not Keith Ellison, who's still, the DNC co-chair, and other members of Democrats who are still there that I have to occasionally get in the elevator with. She hasn't called out a single one of them for their behavior. I mean, she's hypocritically silent, partisan, and I think, as we've discussed before, this is someone who mindlessly attacked George Mason University for naming their law school after Justice Scalia and, getting $30 million for scholarships as a result.
Let me ask you this. The Loudoun Times, the hometown newspaper of Senator Wexton from Loudoun County, they had a forum that they invited you and Jennifer to be at. Apparently, they're telling me that Senator Wexton turned it down. Were you willing to be there?
Yeah, we had accepted. This was something that Ralph Northam and Ed Gillespie did last time. Mm-hmm. It was, a discussion on our local issues. And, she's, listen, she didn't go to a single 9/11 memorial ceremony to, be in the community. She didn't go to a single national night out. She's not going to public forums at all. It's mostly her partisan events that are invite only, and they're trying to keep her hidden. And I think you saw at that debate why.
That was pretty bad. I've seen Senator Wexton in a lot of other venues, and I know she was a prosecutor and a Commonwealth's attorney, and she did run a pretty aggressive campaign in the special election. So I've seen her speak, and it was just that day, that morning, I would say she was not at the top of her game, and you were, and that's why it was such a mismatch.
She represents a very Democrat district that went 67% for Ralph Northam. While she says she has run ahead of other Democrats, she's actually run 8 to 10 points behind. She's an underperformer. She's had a district where all she has to do is cater to the left wing, and that is her idea of what she should do. She didn't go out to an event that Democrats, all my Democrat prior candidates, went out to the Hobnob in the Valley that it's a local event, it's bipartisan. Mm-hmm. Democrat city council people came. She literally phoned it in and dissed an entire community and said, nope, don't want to be at a public forum. She didn't have another event that she gave. Mm-hmm. She just said, nope, don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And she just hasn't been out in the western part of the district and doesn't really, I think, understand the diversity of the district.
So, Barbara Comstock, let me ask you this. The president finalizing the trade deal yesterday. Now, I'm a protectionist, so we come from different angles here. So we're going to not debate that. But I hate NAFTA. I was glad to see it go. I did a champagne dance when we got rid of it. But there's a lot of benefits here with a new deal. Canada actually came in before midnight because the president said at his press conference Wednesday in Manhattan at the UN that I was at, that basically he had told his negotiators to stop dealing with Canada. He was done with them, and he was going to move forward without them. Then at the end they cave, and we got a better deal for our farmers and our workers. What say you?
Well, I think you're right, and I'm still, reviewing all of it. But Trudeau had sought an end to Buy American rules for contracts by the U.S. government. He failed. He It sought to make it easier for Canadian professionals to work in America. He failed there. I think there were agricultural concessions, an end to dumping of dairy products, and so I think our farmers do better here. So I think as you go through the negotiating first with Mexico and then the need for Trudeau to come on board, I think that was a good victory for us. There may still be things there that, we still need to improve, but I think this coming on the heels also of getting better deals with Korea, and it's a good thing for the country. And I think the thing that I'm pleased about is it provides more certainty because, as you know, with the tax cuts that are permanent now and the regulatory relief that we've provided, I've mentioned that scorecard. 11 of the bills that they attack me on are regulatory relief bills, and then banking reform and things like that. Most of those are, I think, 8 out of the 11 are bipartisan. So this adds to the certainty in the economy by having this New Deal, and I think that is going to, you saw the markets respond yesterday too, and as you said, prosperity is on the ballot. Your wages, your savings, the economy, jobs. These are the results that are going to improve our kids' lives and make us a stronger country. And this resistance has no answer to that except to oppose everything, that Republicans are trying to do. And actually, a lot of the things we're trying to do are actually bipartisan. But this left-wing group, and I should mention, my opponent, as you know, is the number one liberal state senator. They just don't have solutions like this.
Well, that came through in the debate, right? No question about it. Now, Amazon goes to $15 an hour for all their workers. Another thing we don't agree on necessarily. I'm in favor of a $15 minimum wage by the federal government and for states. But
it's getting there effectively in a lot of places, along with increased paid leave from the tax bill that we passed. Yeah.
The Trump economy is booming to such an extent that we've created a wage by Amazon and other companies because of the market. So we've created that because companies are now competing for good workers because we have so many jobs available. We have so much prosperity. So it's a wonderful thing that Amazon went to $15 an hour, and other companies are going to have to go to $15 an hour to compete for entry-level good workers. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we are seeing wages rise, and I think Democrats, are depressed about this economic good news. I think I read 700,000 fewer people on food stamps because they're back to work. We haven't, changed the rules on food stamps at all, but it's people going back to work. And then they're going back to work and advancing in this improving economy. Employers are paying for their employees to get advanced workplace skills. And so workforce development is a big issue that we have funded in our recent budget. So this is an American agenda. This is a positive, results-oriented agenda. It's something to embrace. And in many cases, it is bipartisan, but with all the screaming and yelling from the resistance crowd, you don't hear about this good economic news. And I hope over the next 5 weeks that people will focus on it, because this is not by accident. All of these good results are not going to, they can't continue with Nancy Pelosi because she has fought every single one of them.
Why would you turn the clock back on any of these? This is the thing. I mean, when you look at the tremendous success, the GDP growth, which is 4.2, it's going to go up to 4.5, the number of jobs, wages going up, bonuses going up, employment opportunities going up. The other thing that people forget about this economy is now people are able to change jobs. During the Obama days, if you had a job, you were scared to death to change it or to seek something else. You were not mobile because you were just glad to have it. Now people are shifting into better jobs. They're getting promotions. They're going back to school. I mean, you look at every indicator of this economy, Barbara, is unbelievable. I mean, I'm 60. I've never seen anything close to this. And it was the only thing I could compare.
From the I have a very diverse district, and we have the lowest Latino unemployment in decades, the lowest African American unemployment, and our Asian population people are starting businesses, and they have really good prospects for their kids. This is not by accident. This was not brought to you by the resistance. It was brought to you by a Congress that has been working hard behind the scenes on bills that don't get a lot of credit, don't get a lot of news, but are changing and improving lives and making us safer. And, listen, we haven't even talked about, ISIS decimated. That's no small thing either. And funding the military at the level that we, so it's not hollowed out like it was the past 8 years. My opponent hasn't said a single word about about funding our military. Something that it's not even on her radar. It's just unbelievable how important it is to our region. And even Aubrey Lane, as I mentioned in the debate, he acknowledged that the reason we have a $550 million surplus in Virginia is because of the defense rebuilding and the tax cuts. And I'm the only member, in this Northern Virginia region that voted for both of those.
I got to ask you one final question. It's on everybody's mind. I know you're not a member of the U.S. Senate, but you are. You are a member of the federal government in Congress. Brett Kavanaugh, Mitch McConnell saying he's going to have a vote, we believe, on Saturday. Do you think having the vote on Saturday is the right thing to do? And if you were in the Senate right now and you had to make a decision, would you vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh, yes or no?
Well, I'm not in the Senate, as you point out, but I do think they should have a vote. I think it was right to do the FBI review this week, and I think he will be confirmed. And as I mentioned before, my opponent has been very hypocritical in mindlessly attacking the judiciary and trying to politicize it. I don't think it should be politicized. When you win elections, you have your nominees, and people from my neighbor, Justice Kennedy, to the Scalia family, dozens of whom live in my district, know this man, and I think he will be confirmed.
All right. Barbara Comstock predicting victory for Judge Kavanaugh in a vote on Saturday, riding the wind of one of the most unbelievable economic resurgence I've ever seen. The only thing I could compare it to was the Clinton economy at the end of the 90s, but that was always suspect because it was the dot-com bubble, and none of these companies were making any money. Remember the dot-coms? The economy was booming. Everybody was buying ads all over the place. I ran a newspaper. We had record sales because tech companies were buying, tons of full-page ads and all that good stuff. But none of them made any money. So it was always suspect. You were always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it burst, and it did. This economy, though, was very different, Barbara. It's very different because all of the indicators are solid. When you're looking at wages up, jobs up.
Manufacturing resurgence. Yeah,
absolutely.
Manufacturing, small businesses. I hear people talking about startups, expansions, businesses coming back. Look, Apple brought millions and millions back here. Tim Cook would have loved to do that when Obama was president, but he couldn't afford to. He didn't do it because he likes Donald Trump. He did it because it makes business sense.
Right.
And we are the place to grow your business and expand. And that's going to be good for every single worker in this country. And now we need to make sure that prosperity gets to everybody at every income level, and mostly that they're increasing and, on that path to prosperity.
All right, I got to go. We're out of time. John Fredericks Radio Network. Want to thank Barbara Comstock for being with us. Barbara, people want more info. What's your website?
Barbara Comstock for Congress.com. We're still taking donations because my opponent is getting tons of them from California and New York. We need yours.